Are you a jerky jerk?
Oh, yeah!
Dang it.
Hey, let me get a piece.
No can do. This is my last piece of RJ's beef jerky.
RJ's Beef Jerky. Real jerky for real jerky jerks.
You owe me jerky.
Are you ready to live your best life but wonder how to combine beauty and wellness? At Arbonne, they believe in a holistic approach to beauty, health, and well-being. Everyone can flourish. They develop world-class products with botanicals rooted in cutting-edge science. Arbonne is the #1 global brand for healthy living inside and out. Embrace a healthier mind, stronger body, and more beautiful skin. Energize, radiate, shine, and thrive with clean products that are guaranteed to work. Arbonne offers a 90-day risk-free guarantee. If you're not happy or you feel like Arbonne isn't giving you the results, get your money back. Want to know how to get your skin, mind, and body back on track? Reach out to Heather Martinez, your authorized Arbonne independent consultant, at 606-344-0217. Call or text. She can save you hundreds with special deals and promotions. Again, Heather Martinez, 606-344-0217. Guys, summer's here. That yard you've had a break from all winter is ready for some maintenance. Those trees need trimmed, those branches need removed. That landscaping needs touched up or redone. Give our guys at Willie Gardens a call. Locally owned and operated, they've been helping and serving the community for over a decade. There's not a job too big or too small, from lawn care to maintenance to landscaping to tree and junk removal. Willie Gardens can handle all your outside needs. Give the folks at Willie Gardens a call for a free estimate to get your yard looking like $1,000,000. Want to see some of their work? Go check out their Facebook page. That's Willie Gardens, 606-344-8790. Looking for a realtor who won't stop until you're holding the keys to your dream home or celebrating the sale of your house? Heather Martinez, brokered by Sean Rogers Realty, is a go-getter with grit. She brings unmatched energy, relentless hustle, and a client-first always mindset to every transaction. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, she's not here just to show you homes. She's here to win for you. With fast response times, local market expertise, strategic negotiator, 100% committed to your goals. She doesn't believe in good enough. She believes in exceptional. Make your real estate journey smooth, exciting, and above all, successful. Heather Martinez, 606-344-0217. In a world where feelings are protected and men have traded big, beautiful beards for man purses and man buns, comes to you a podcast you always wanted and never knew you needed. A podcast where feelings are left at the door and conversations happen, unfiltered and no sugarcoating. What is going on? Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We've got the guys with Van Kirk and Gressel with us tonight, Eric and Evan. We'll let them introduce themselves and we'll get right into conversation.
Okay, I'm Eric Grizel. This is my son, Evan.
And no, obviously when I say Van Kirk and Gressel, you know that they're with the funeral home here in town. So let's just get right into it. Jericho, while we enjoy our RJ's beef jerky, official beef jerky of the podcast. So, guys, how long have you been part of the Van Kirk Gressel?
So I can maybe just run through our history. So, and not that it's a big deal, but it's Gressel. So Van Kirk.
I'm sorry, Gressel. Sorry.
Doesn't matter how you say it, the check's all cashed the same. So.
Right. I apologize.
But anyway, just a little background. Our family has been in the funeral business since 1847. We originally were out of West Virginia. So I'm the 6th generation, and Evan is the 7th generation in the funeral business. People ask me why are we in Kentucky and not West Virginia, and I tell them because I didn't get along with generation number 5 anymore. So
That happens.
it does happen. It especially happens in family businesses, and ours was no different. So basically, my parents divorced when I was older, and it was an unpleasant divorce. So the time was just easier for us to pick up, look somewhere else. And we'd never been in the state of Kentucky. We'd never been to the state of Kentucky. I drove down, looked at the funeral home, made an offer, and 21 years later, we're still here. So.
Now, did you say that you became part of the funeral home in like 2003, 2004?
So 2001 is when we purchased the Van Kirk Funeral Home. Now, we didn't purchase it from the Van Kirks. They had retired in 1991 when Alvy Van Kirk, his health deteriorated. So they were looking for a buyer. They chose Prime Succession, who at the time I think was the 4th or the 5th largest consolidator of funeral homes nationwide. It did not do well under that. Usually the corporate models don't work well in a small town.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about that. We'll get back into that.
Okay, so the models work fine, and the big funeral homes are still out there. We were talking about SCI or Legacy. They're still out there, and for the most part, they can be very good funeral homes, very good funeral directors. But their pricing policies are what they are. There's no flexibility. There's payment in full up front all the time before they'll even work with you. We'll work with anybody. We try to work with anyone. Our theory is we'll work with anyone, but once you lie to us or don't pay us or don't do what you said you were going to do,
Right.
then the next time around it's a different story. But
Well, it's great because a lot of those folks don't even come around the second time. Best advice I ever got was if you want to know if somebody's a friend to you, loan them $20.
exactly.
That's the last time you'll see them.
The last time. if they're not good folks, and $20 is a lot less than you'll get than they'll take you for later. And I don't mean that in any certain way, but well, I mean, I'm actually really happy to have a family-owned funeral home because, like you were talking about with the bigger brands or I guess it would be that they do business across the country, right? The legacies and this and that.
That's correct.
But when you take the family out of a funeral home, it changes things. Like I feel like it changes the atmosphere. And they could have great funeral directors, but it's still not the same.
It's a business transaction.
Yeah, when it becomes a model,
Right.
This is exactly how we stamp everything that we do. We don't do anything more. We don't do anything less. This is what you get, and this is the cost.
Right.
Yeah.
And that changes things. As a small business owner or co-owner, or well, my wife owns a small business. Is what I'm really getting at, fellas. It's nice for us to see the same faces. We grow up with people doing the cakes, and I mean, obviously, we're on one end of it, and you're on the other end of this spectrum. However, we get to bake the child's first birthday cake, and then we get to bake their 16th birthday cake. And then we do their wedding cake, and then we do their gender reveal cake.
What he's saying is he helps these people get to you quicker.
No, but what I mean is, you get to meet these people, you get to know these people, and that's what I think is very special about being a family-owned funeral home.
And we've kind of seen that just from when I would first start a family that would know him. He'll be out of town now, and I get to step in, and then we kind of get to go back and reflect on the history of him working with their parents or something. So it's kind of neat to see it even be passed down for us as we work with. And I kind of get the benefit of the trust he's built in that way. So that's good.
Well, I mean, and there's, like we were saying earlier, when you talk about a funeral home, you talk about my funeral home. Everybody says, well, let me tell you how my funeral home does it. Nobody's funeral home owners, but you guys are their funeral home. and that's how they speak of you in sentences.
And and we still capitalize off of the Van Kirk name. I mean, there are a lot of people that come in and will tell me what Alvy did for him. Well, Alvy's been retired for 30 years, and he's been deceased for 20 years, so. But those people are still coming back because, Van Kirk's is their funeral home. So
Right. So that's awesome to me.
So there is no more Van Kirk.
there's not. Helen and Alvy did not have children, so that's when people ask me. When I first came, they said, "When are you going to add your names?" So it took me a few years to add my name. And then they said, "Well, when are you going to take the Van Kirk off?" And I said, "Well, I'll never take the Van Kirk off. I owe them. I didn't buy the funeral home from them, but I owe them for their name. And that's the only child they had together was that funeral home. So
I mean, and it's the same place.
it's the same place. It needs some updating, but we're working on it.
I mean, everybody knows where Van Kirk's is in town.
Yeah.
It's like everybody knows. And when Jericho and I was talking about it, he's like, "You just mean Van Kirk, don't you?" It's like, no. And then I butchered your last name.
I should have corrected you before we came on.
I've never heard anybody say anything other than Van Kirk.
Yeah.
Anybody around here is just
And I do
damn
it.
it, Van Kirk.
I do it, like when I call and order a vault, I say, "This is Eric with Van Kirk's." It's just easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, until the other day, and when he said Griselle, or
See, that
however,
was, that was beautiful.
That was it.
That was
however you say it,
that sounded so good. Man.
Until that, when he threw that in there, I was like, "You just made that up." I was like, "There ain't no such thing." Well, I guess it is.
All right, so first, just some questions. Now, these are the wild questions that I got sent to ask you guys.
Okay.
This is the funner side of this, less serious side. So, what is the strangest thing that's happened to you guys at your funeral home?
And don't hold back.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of strange stuff. There's more maybe inter-family conflicts that we see because we're dealing with people that are
Very emotional.
very emotional, and a lot of times the anger comes to the forefront. Probably the one that jumps out is we were dealing with a child and a stepmother with the deceased in the room, and both of them came up to me and said, when we leave, I want that wind chime. Well, I don't care who gets any wind chime,
Right.
but we try to stay out of those. So I said, well, if you want that and you think it's yours, you should take it. So one of them walked out the back door with it, and then the other one grabbed hold of it, and the guy that was working for me came around and he said, "Hey, they're out in the parking lot beating each other up over that wind chime." He said, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Well, shut the door."
Give him another wind chime.
Yeah, I would say the fights. The fights are probably surprised, especially because, we had another one, and the minister for the service, he just wasn't. He had very different experiences at the funeral home, and he was like, "Does that happen often?" I'm like, "Not every week, but a couple times a year at least." And it's
I hadn't even thought about that.
And we haven't had any for a while now, but we had, within 3 months, we called the police twice. And I will say, I'll give a shout out to the Corbin Police Department. When we called them, they came in full force, full body armor. And they were ready to go because I said, "You all didn't have to do all of that." And he said, "No." He said, "We know what tensions are like." And they got everything calmed down, and it was fine.
See, I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, I don't know that I've been to a funeral home where somebody wasn't talking about kicking somebody's ass that was there. And that's dead serious. It's like, oh, I can't believe they had the audacity to show up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And while we're on that, let me just. So one time I had always been when I talked to a family and they would say, "We don't want so and so at the funeral," and I would say, "Well, I can't keep him out of the funeral home because it's a public building, but you're renting the room, and I can ask him to exit the room." We had a case where this person showed up, came in, was sitting down, not causing any trouble, and the family wanted me to have him removed. So I asked him if he would leave, and he said no. And I'd never had that happen because usually if you ask them to leave, they'll leave. And so we called the police, and he came, and the police officer was very nice, but he said, was this obituary put on your website or the newspaper? And I said, it was. And he said, you can't restrict who comes in the building then. He said, if they're belligerent or causing trouble, he said, I'll pull them out. So it kind of changed our policy. So now when they tell us that, I said, well, you have to make it private, or you have to just live with them being here, but we can't make them leave. We can ask them, but if they don't want to leave, they don't have to.
See, that's wild. I hadn't even thought about that. Like, I was ready for you to jump into some kind of crazy ghost story or something like that.
I was embalming one night and turned around and the paper towels were just spinning off, but it could've-
Really?
Is that real?
It just happened again the other day, but I think it might be the air hitting the paper towel.
Just in the right way?
So,
Oh, well, I mean, you brought it up then. Do you believe in ghosts? Either one of you two. You believe in ghosts?
I believe in spirits.
Okay, that's a ghost.
So,
I'll take that answer.
And probably I'd say I've come in, things that have happened that made me think that I've seen a ghost, but that's been a few years ago. I've not had anything recently.
And I think that feeling you get when you're like, oh, there's a spirit around or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever gotten that in the funeral home. I get it in my own house maybe,
yeah,
but in the
never
funeral
been,
home,
like,
it's just
Get a cold spot. Like you walk through that building all the time. So you know what the temperature's like all through it. You ever been walk through a door and be like, ooh, that's a little colder than normal? Or
I've never had that, and I don't think a spirit would dwell there because it's not where they've died.
Right?
well, they say though spirits can attach to objects of the deceased, and don't people bring in stuff to put in the caskets before
They
they
do.
bury?
Yeah.
They do, but I've never had it. I've never had anything like that happen.
See, yeah, that's obviously people are jumping on there. Oh, it's haunted, isn't it? Paranormal. That's some of the comments that have popped up or whatever.
I think the air conditioner was hitting the paper towel.
Oh no, your AC must be really good for it to blow like that.
Well, it is. It's real nice and cool. Now. I've never been in there and been uncomfortable. Another thing. So has anyone... No. Has anyone made it to you guys still alive?
Has what?
Anyone made it to you guys still alive?
Not now, but like again, my family's been into this. My grandfather, he said it wasn't uncommon for a farmer out in the country to bring someone into the funeral home. And that's when they had ambulance service, and he would just transfer them over and take them to the hospital.
Right. He's on TikTok, guys.
So-
Yeah,
And he's looking now. Now it's not just
it's all of us. What is it?
I think you could.
I'm just debating about a story.
yeah. We want to hear the good ones.
Don't hold back on us. Give us all the juicy stories.
This does. I mean, I think you could tell the story, and it does happen. People question it, but go ahead.
So this person had called me who was upset because her brother had passed away earlier in the morning. And this was in the evening. And it sounded like she'd been,
Drinking.
yes, something. But anyway, she called and she said, I need you to go down to the funeral home and shake my brother. And I said, why do you want me to go shake your brother? And she said, because I know he's not dead. He's still alive. I just know he is. And I said, well, I know he's dead. And she said, well, how do you know that? I said, well, if I wasn't sure before, I know after I embalmed him, he's dead.
Right.
Oh, yeah. He'd definitely be dead then.
And she was fine the next day. I think she was just struggling with it.
Yeah.
But
Well, how long do they lay in there before they get embalmed?
ideally, we want to do that as quick as possible. But we did add a cooler right before COVID, which thankfully we did. So now we can go days before we embalm.
Okay, so since adding that cooler, have you ever seen like a body twitch or?
I've never seen a body twitch. I've never seen. People say the body sat up. I've never seen, and I don't believe in that at all.
Yeah, so that old Ray Stevens song said, "No, with the dead, that just ain't happening. Just ain't happening."
Well, what about what'd you call it when their hands are locked in and stuff?
Yeah, I was curious about this. So say somebody that had been contorted during their life and their bones kind of calcify or whatever, being able to present them, how difficult is that?
It can be difficult. A lot of times, if it's like we do not break bones,
Okay.
so we will try to move,
Theory's wrong.
and then once we realize that if we go any further, we just stop and we try to put the best hand on top or something like that.
Because when we were talking about it, we're like, well, Jericho's like, Paul, they're brain dead, and that might unlock the nerves that are contorting them. And I was like, I don't know if it works like that. I have no idea. I said, but I know sometimes they calcify in certain ways,
Right.
while
So
they're alive.
and,
So I was thinking you would just break the bones, or I even said, well, I said maybe they could make like a small incision and just cut the muscle that's causing it to.
Because even though you guys weren't here, we had a conversation about it a couple of weeks ago.
So the rigor mortis is not what we're talking about, because that's just muscles and you just
Right.
move them and that breaks apart. But yeah, if it's been a long-term thing that they've had for years before they died, it's not something that can really go away.
Nothing that you guys can correct or even want to even get into that.
I mean,
Kind of
unless
stuff.
the family said make mom's fingers straight, we would not do that, and I've never done that.
Then you go in and break bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, you're not positive of what the results are.
Yeah. And the other, our whole goal with all that is to make someone look like themselves, as for presentation purposes. So if you went and someone that had lived their whole life kind of drawn up a little bit,
That's kind of how you were.
yeah, that's kind of what you expect to walk in and see, and not them fully normal again and everything. So people
That's
are pretty
true.
understanding about that.
Chad Frazier wanted me to ask Evan if he has his funeral at Van Kirk's, can he make a recording saying help that he'll put in my casket?
I can do that for Chad.
Do you have strange requests like that?
I mean, as far as stuff in the casket, we've probably seen everything.
Uh-huh.
I mean, back when they had I don't even know what they called Walkmans with the earphones.
Yeah.
I mean, the father insisted that we get new batteries, blast it right before we close the casket.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of sentimental.
So you've never had anybody like hide a midget inside a casket and jump out in the middle of the service?
Never done none of that punk stuff.
Yeah, none of that stuff.
None of that. So.
Wow.
Okay. Got a bunch of questions coming in. Can you fix the clothing if it's too big?
Yeah, I feel like clothing is something, and every funeral home is going to be a little different, but the way we approach it, I think we get a lot of flexibility with clothing, is either making it tighter. I mean, you can only make it so much looser if you have to do that, but it's a lot more flexible than people realize.
Yeah, and if it's too big is always better than too small. And then the only thing probably we run into the most is, especially with a woman in the summer and they bring in a sundress that's sleeveless and they've been in the hospital and just have had a number of issues, we might ask for a sweater.
Yeah. So what you do if it's too big? You just raise the body up, pin it a little bit.
We just
Right.
tuck.
Oh, just tuck it.
Pin and tuck, yeah.
If it's too tight, you just give it a little slice.
We do a little cut in the back to give
All right, so, all right, guys, these are just the questions rolling in. They're coming up
I
over
can't-
here, too.
Can't see that far.
I apologize. One says, are we naked from the waist down? I can tell you that you're not.
And I've had families come in and they like for a man they brought a full suit and they'll say, well, we didn't bring pants because you won't see it. I said, well, I'm going to put a pair of pants on him. Are you okay using some of ours? And they are. They just haven't thought. But no, you're not naked. You're not naked when we take a body to the crematory. We dress up everybody in a hospital gown because we just.
It's a respect thing,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, if you're in an accident, you don't want the person naked.
Someone else says, can you Nobody gets stuffed. Nobody gets stuffed.
No, as in like
Do you get stuffed?
Like
Like-
a stuffed.
Stuff.
Like a taxidermy.
Okay, no.
I was wondering if that's
I wasn't. I just want to make sure I understood right. The only thing we've ever done is added some padding in a person's belly when they've just, for whatever reason, have lost a lot of weight, and they bring in a suit that again is too big. So you don't want that to be concave. So we'll add some tissue or cotton, but that's not inside the person. That's between their body and their.
In their clothes. See, this is interesting. I knew this would go.
So have you ever been asked to stuff someone?
No.
we will now, though. I'm sure.
Probably.
Somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, listen, if you
well,
can make it
we are not
50
licensed
pounds
tax-
heavier."
Well, if somebody was to ask you that, can you even do that?
There is this, and I don't know what state or where they're located, but they call it extreme embalming. It's not really stuffing, but these, I guess, experts in it will come in and they've positioned people. You can Google it and look it up, but they like have positioned them on a motorcycle or in their recliner or something. Yeah, that's
We will not be doing.
yeah. We're
That is so wild. You mentioned this earlier, and I've not been able to shake it. Did you guys notice more people passing during the COVID? Was there a big increase of people that passed that you could tell?
We did not see it at first. I don't think a lot of people saw it at first.
Somebody's here.
I don't know.
Oh,
We're getting the key that I set out there.
okay.
But during the
Betty.
That's that ghost.
they're here.
if you had paper towels or not. But during the Delta variant, which was a variant that came around like September of October of year 2, we seemed to be busier then. But we've gotten to the point now that I don't do. I mean, if the hospital tells me the person died from COVID, I don't do anything else other than my normal precautions.
Well, see, like I worked doing security at Baptist for a long time, and I would take you guys up to pick up bodies and everything else. And initially, it was a big deal. You know, everybody looked like Dr. Brown fixing to take off in a time machine with his radioactive suit on. You know, at the beginning.
And I think that was just the unknown. I mean, the first COVID body I embalmed, I got home. My wife stopped me in the garage. It was it was attached to the house, but she said, "Strip down, go straight to the shower," and I think she threw my clothes away. But that was just the overreaction that
Threw him away.
she might have.
I'd have karate chopped her.
Well, I don't.
Clothes are friggin' expensive.
She may have just put them straight in the wash, but I know she was freaking out.
Yeah, no, well, see, I was too at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But then things kind of relaxed or changed or whatever happened.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
And something else we kind of, I don't know if it's a little theory of ours, but like something with COVID, it seemed like people that were probably going to pass away within a year, it kind of rushed that. So like if they got COVID, it's like they got a bad variant of the flu, and then all of a sudden it happened to 20 people. And it was just kind of, so it's hard to see because after COVID, there were times where we're like, "Whoa, we're a little bit slower than normal," and really slow at times after that.
And we don't want to get into a COVID debate, but we also saw an uptick in young people after the vaccines. Not to the point where it could have just been a fluke, but there were some young people that maybe shouldn't have.
Maybe right. I mean, just reading between the lines, maybe shouldn't have.
Right.
So, being in the field you were in during COVID, you did see an increase in business. Did you ever try to do like a deep dive investigation on really what caused that increase?
Look at all these questions.
Yeah, and again, at the very beginning, we kind of
Didn't.
kept.
You said you
we,
didn't,
yeah, we
really.
kept track of it. And the first maybe 8 to 10 COVID cases we had were all elderly people in a nursing home, and then again that Delta variant that seemed to affect younger, unhealthy people. but it seemed to be more deadly. So
Gotcha. So, let
See,
me try
I-
to get to all these questions.
I just don't believe it was COVID killing people.
well,
Well, he said it's not no debate, no debate here.
it's your show. I don't want to get in the middle of it.
Do you ever have families that want a non-Christian service?
We do.
Yeah.
And those are we struggle with that. But if that's what they want, they're also hard to do because.
What exactly is that?
Yeah, I'm confused.
So if and that's what we ask them. You know, when I've had it happen, I've asked them, do you mean you don't want to minister, or do you just not want any reference to God at all? And I've had both. They've just said, well, we don't want to minister, we want to do that ourselves. And I used to have this minister for me, and he was okay with that. He would just open with a prayer, and when it was finished, he would get up and have a closing prayer. And the one family was fine with that. Another family was like, no, we don't want anything. We'll take care of it all. And it was noticeably void of God.
Right.
And I think we're trying to figure that out. I think 20 years ago it wasn't a problem. Even if they weren't religious, they were going to have a pastor at their funeral. Now you're hearing the term, life celebration more and more. And we're still trying to figure out what that means to people here. It means something different all over the country, but I think that's
celebration.
yes. Where I think what people generally mean by that is they just don't want it to feel so much like a funeral. But
Right.
Well,
how do you put that together?
biblically, you're supposed to rejoice death.
That is
So is that what they're talking about?
I think to some extent.
to some degree. What I have heard for years is they'll get through the funeral, we'll ask them if everything was fine, and they'll tell us yes. And they said, but I don't want this for me. When I die, I want a party. Well, the reality is you may want a party, but the people that love you aren't going to feel like having a party when you die.
Oh, they're not. And
But-
this is I think I'd said this to you, when I die, I want it to be a party,
Yeah.
in a sense. Because of that, you know what? I don't want.
Well, you guys have 2 rooms there, though, right? Wouldn't it be really tough if ZZ Top was going on in one room and somebody else was playing?
Kumbaya another.
Well, and we tried just over a year ago. We some other people, we had rented the old Goldenberg, which was Harvey's on Main. And the idea was we were going to offer these non-traditional life celebrations, and we did do 2 or 3, and those families absolutely loved it. It wasn't that they had a minister and everything. They just didn't want a
whole funeral
visitation
home
with a
vibe.
body, with a minister, final viewing, trip to the cemetery, which I think has tremendous value, but they just didn't want to do that. And I don't think the next generation, they're going to be even less and less likely to want that.
See, when my grandmother passed away, she was cremated, and we did a celebration of life, and we kind of waited till around her birthday.
Right.
And we'd rented the Corbin Arena, the Civic Center. I'm sorry, not the arena, the Civic Center. And we played music and had somebody come and cater and had a big picture of her and her urn and this and that, because that's kind of what she had wanted. So it's kind of similar to what you were talking about that you guys had done at Harvey's, right? That's
Right. And that's kind of and I still think that's probably going to be more and more in the future. And we still have the ability to do that. We still have the agreement with the people that have Harvey's now. We have an agreement with another church if somebody just does not want to be at the funeral home. So, but
So
right,
that's awesome. You guys are just trying to accommodate.
Yeah, we're having to broaden kind of our view of a funeral.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the unfortunate thing that I've noticed being a little bit younger in the business is that funeral homes just kind of want to funnel people into what's convenient for their facility and their staff. And I understand that from our perspective too, but it's not the whole point to me of what we're doing. We're trying to honor people and help other people heal, and so we can't tell them how to do that all the time, and got to open our minds a little bit.
in what we're seeing is, those that don't want the traditional burial, those that want cremation, how do we as business owners capitalize on that? We don't want to assume the family's going to go to the civic center and have their own thing. Why don't you let us help you do that?
Right.
And
Because, that's even part of your training, too, right?
Right.
And like you guys are almost grief counselors, also, right? I mean, you guys got to know how to approach people. You got to, like
Yeah.
when you had just said a moment ago, you're like going to the graveyard has tremendous value to you. You didn't mean that in a monetary sense. You meant it like this is part of the letting go process.
Seeing that body enter that grave. It's like,
This is a closure thing.
yeah.
It is a closure, and seeing a body for some people is needed for closure. For some people, they don't need any of that, but for some people, it's very important.
See, me, while we're on topic, I just want people to remember me as who I am, fun, joyful, just goofy person. That's why I've always said when I die, I want everybody
Right.
to be in that mind frame. I want people to come to my funeral and have fun and
Right.
enjoy themselves.
And we will do a lot of different things that we can, anything that a family suggests or we come up with to help make that happen. We're
Do
all
your very
for it.
best to accommodate whatever
Yeah.
through.
Because sometimes we just need to facilitate something, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. But families that opt to pass around a mic and let other people share stories, where we can kind of play the role as just, I don't know what the right word is, but just kind of facilitating the conversation. But hearing a lot of people
The
share,
event.
yes, yeah, it's kind of, and it's neat to see that. It's a different approach.
We did the same thing at the Celebration of Life. Is we would, a few of us would go up there and share a story that we remember that would make everybody else laugh to kind of lighten the mood of the room and stuff. All right, so back to a couple questions. Has a casket ever fell over during a service?
Not with us, but it has happened. I mean, it wouldn't happen during the service, but it could be something as, you've gone into a church, it gets placed on the casket beer incorrectly, and somebody leans on it. Something that I worry about is the lid, because if you hit that hinge and, people are over the casket shaking, that's concerned me. We did have a case at the cemetery. We use casket stands. So when we go to the cemetery, the casket's not laying on the ground for the committal service. But our stands, we didn't realize this, but they were metal. The casket was metal. It was extremely cold, and there had been some moisture, and those casket stands had almost become like ice. So the minute they put that casket on, it started to slide. But I was there, I caught it, and then we've taken steps so that never happens again.
Right.
But there's always a first time that makes you change them. But no, we've never lost a casket. But it does happen in the industry. So
What is the strangest music played at a funeral that you guys have been a part of?
Oh, we hear everything. There's not nearly as there's no rules there. I shouldn't say there's no rules. That's a dangerous statement. But
so we will play just if it's the next of kin, they're in charge and they want to play it, we will play it.
So I mean, it's not nothing for you guys to hear "Highway to Hell" AC/DC at a funeral.
We
then, huh?
yeah,
The only time I've ever turned the music off is it was a younger boy. He was in a band, and his mother came to me and said, "Play this tape." And this is how long ago it was. It was a tape. It wasn't
Cassette.
a cassette tape.
Which is before a CD for you young people watching.
Not as old as an 8-track, but I do remember the 8-tracks. But I said, "Well, is it appropriate?" And she says, "Oh yes, I've listened to it. It's fine." So I put it in and I hit play, and I'm back there with the Baptist Church choir because they were singing the song before it and after it, and I hear the words "suck me,"
Oh wow!
and I turned to the lady from the church and I said, "Did you hear what I just heard?" And she said, "I believe I did."
Right,
So then I hear it again, and I just immediately hit stop.
right.
And mother never said a word to me. She knew what she did to me, but
Right.
that's the only one that I've.
Do you think
turned
that it seems like that would almost be a joke?
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, but
Because that would be humorous.
Was that the only thing it was saying? Was just suck me?
Well, there
I
was
was alluding to a little bit more.
yeah, there were some other things leading up to that, and like I heard it, and then I heard it again, then
Whoa.
I turned to, and it,
I mean, if like all it was saying was like suck me good and hard or something like that. You know,
yeah, it was.
at least that's not foul
What
language.
about stiff?
Yeah, I mean, that's not foul language. You can
He's heard some stiff music there for sure.
so no funky Cole Medina, you know, the tone lock.
So, Ronnie Bright says, I've recorded my own funeral sermon. Is that something they can set up and play? Last time I was there, I didn't see much of an option to have a big screen or projector there to do that. Now, Ronnie's a preacher. He's actually the owner of the beef jerky that we're enjoying.
So, you know, I would have told you 5 years ago no, but he is much more technically advanced, so I think we're able to play just about anything. We would have. Well, I'll let you allude to how you would play that.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, we'd have to, because he is right. You know, our screen is small up front, so something that important, we'd have to come up with a temporarily better solution.
A projector.
I think, yes, yeah, and I think long term we've got to be thinking about incorporating technology into the chapel in different ways. 'Cause I think you're just going to see COVID kind of trigger this, not to go back to that, but the remoteness of funerals got way more normal. We're live streaming and recording more services than we ever have. Even during COVID, we're still doing more now.
All you gotta do is get you one of them projectors from the ceiling. Get
Yeah.
one of them like 120-inch projector screens, or even bigger than that, and you're good to go.
Because probably the most popular thing for families love the slideshow with pictures.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of their, their process. And so that's just, you've just got to keep highlighting that anyway.
All right, somebody else asked, do you allow people to see their loved ones when they come make arrangements? So, like, before the service. So, like, if they say the loved one passed at the hospital.
In the cooler.
You picked them up that night and said, family, just come in the morning. We'll work out everything. Because I've seen that. I don't know that I've seen it with you guys, but I've seen that happen, that the hospital will just call a funeral home. The funeral home will call the family and say, listen, we're going to pick up your loved one. You can swing by in the morning. We'll work everything out, crunch out all the details. Would the family be allowed to see their loved one when they come to crunch out the details?
Most of the time, that's not an issue. The only thing we run into is sometimes the family making the request isn't the next of kin. Next of kin always has the right to say no. And again, inter-family turmoil may be usually, it's not always a red flag, but when that's the first request we get from somebody that we know isn't the next of kin, we just kind of have to tread lightly. Mm-hmm. We've gotten to the point where it's a little bit harder because of the, I don't want to say we're having a backlog, but people are not, like a death that occurs on Monday when the family would normally come in on Tuesday, have Wednesday to get things together, Thursday's the funeral. That's not what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with so many people waiting days. So we've gotten to the point where we've got more than one person upstairs. So if that is something they absolutely want to do, it may not happen when they come in. We're just going to have to schedule that for a time where we can clear the room.
It was really important for me to have my dad's viewing on the weekend. Mm-hmm. And he had passed in the beginning of the week. So traditionally, like you said, it's, we pass away on this day, we make arrangements this day, and then the next day or the next day we're having services. So it was like we waited till we did a Friday night, a full Saturday, half Sunday is what we did.
You're real traditional.
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, I just didn't want to let him go, fellas.
Yeah.
To be fair, I wanted every minute I could get. But so are you saying that that's what you're seeing more of? People wanting to hold
wait.
extended days
Well,
for like family to come in, or
families have gotten scattered. So, if a death occurs on a Saturday or Sunday, everybody works, kids are in school. It's just going to be easier if we have this on Saturday or Sunday. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that a lot where we're waiting 5, 7, 10 days. We waited this summer for someone to finish a cruise. So
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't wait. I'd be a douchebag. I'm like, no, like the body's going to rot, decay. You got to do it Wednesday.
So is that an issue? How long that you guys can kind of hold somebody until?
There's that can always be an issue. Again, we go back to we didn't have a cooler for 17 years that I've been here, and I don't know how we got by without it. It just takes the worry away because it doesn't stop anything; it just slows everything down.
Right.
I mean, and you mentioned being at Baptist Health; they didn't get a cooler till COVID either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because a lot of times funeral homes could just come in, and to be very honest with you, if there was a funeral home that couldn't be there for a day or two, like an out of state, we would just keep them in ice.
Right.
Like literally. Keep them in ice. We would shut down an operating room or whatever because they have 4 or 6 operating rooms, and we would just keep ice on the body till somebody could come and pick it up.
And that creates a liability issue. We would deal that. We would pick somebody up and not be able to reach the next of kin. Well, we can't embalm. So,
What do you do?
yeah. Now we got the cooler. We're okay. Before that, it was a little scary. We did have some arrangements with some people that had a cooler, but it's much easier having that in-house.
So what you're saying is it don't get a stinky now that you got that cooler.
Yes. Yes. That would be an accurate statement.
So somebody asked, wanted kind of a breakdown of funeral costs. What does a typical funeral cost? What would a budget funeral cost? So what they're asking is somebody that doesn't have anything, any kind of insurance. What's the cheapest that they could bury someone? What is the average? And what is elaborate? Well, I mean, obviously you can take elaborate way over the top.
Right.
But, I mean, what are those 3 different levels of cost?
So, just a little bit of a history. When I started in the business, if you sold a funeral over $5,000, that was a good sale. That was above average, and now
But you guys are eating better.
and now if somebody calls and says we don't have any money, the first thing we ask is, are you thinking cremation or burial? Because cremation has
obviously a lot cheaper.
obviously a lot cheaper. Doesn't mean they can't still have a traditional funeral. So, but even that would still be cheaper. But our entry level package is $59.95 if somebody in the family or friend digs the grave. If we're digging the grave, we're at $64.95, and that includes the casket. That's everything for our services: digging the grave, setting the tent, memorial package, DVD, slideshow, and the steel casket. So, do you have to have that much up front? No, but we do ask for you to make a down payment.
Is that kind of a case-by-case situation? I mean, I know that everybody has policies, but then there's situations that come up. Right. If you have a perfectly healthy child that you never think anything would happen to or whatever, and you don't have insurance on them, right. How does that kind of work?
And that's we in a case like that, number one, they're not. They are truly caught unexpected. When Grandpa's 85 years old,
and you should have made plans.
You're not caught unexpected. You've
ago.
just chosen not to
Be
plan for that.
proactive about.
Doesn't change our approach. We're still going to say our policy is, we'd like to have half down. Half down helps us cover all our costs up front, and then we'll work with you on the balance. But I always say at the end of that, and Evan probably gets mad at me, if you can't get to half down, doesn't mean we're not going to work with you or help you, but just let me know what you can come up with.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And it's harder if a family picks another funeral home to start with and they're not being as nice. It's harder for us to help you then. If you call our funeral home from the beginning, we're going to try really hard to make it work for you. Right. Even if we have to adjust that down payment. And something else is, before we started the podcast, we talked about the crowdfunding. In addition to crowdfunding, we've looked at third-party lenders, anything we can to help people get to a down payment. We don't expect you to do it alone all the time, but if you chose to trust us with your loved one, I think we're not gonna bend our own policy all the time, but we're committed to you at that point too.
And I'm glad you said that, because I had somebody call me, and this is very similar, and this just goes to show that. So I had somebody call me last minute for a DJ job, and I'm like, well, I'm this, but I don't know if this is how much it costs, but I don't know if I'm available. And like, oh, it would mean so much to me. Plus, you're half as much as the other guy was. It's like, you didn't call me first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to bend over and break my back, and I didn't even get the first call?
Yeah. And what it's happened a few times where families have called another funeral home. I've gone up, picked the person up, paid their fee, brought them down, and then the very next death in their family, they go back to that same funeral home because they had insurance this time. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And like I said, and again, you guys are a family-owned business.
That was something else, and I think this culture he built too, and it's why it's surprising sometimes when people with insurance would go to another funeral home, because it's just who we are, that we're going to treat, once you select a policy and we agree to whatever the payment terms are going to be, we treat everybody the same. I don't think you would notice. That's just not credit to us or to him. It's our staff. It's the people that he's hired. It's kind of the respect we have for people, and that, I don't know. I feel like I need to throw that in there. That's important, and I heard that from other people early on. It's not just been my observation, but people have said that, and I think I'm proud of that. Something we do.
Yeah, no, I think that is amazing.
And then back to the cost of the funeral. It's not uncommon for the cost of a funeral to get to $10,000, $12,000 very quickly, simply because of the cost of the casket. And after COVID and the inflation after COVID, we had our costs on some caskets doubled. So it's very, like I said, it's very easy to get up to $12,000 on a funeral.
What makes a casket so expensive?
Because when you have like the Cadillac caskets, and then you have like the
Well, I mean, yeah, but the end result is they're all going to the same place.
Exactly. And you can, when we take someone into the selection room, we don't stay with you. We're not going to sit there and say, well, this one has swing bars, this one has velvet interior, this one's a copper.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Espley right here with the leather seats. It's double stitched. Your dead one won't even know he's dead. He'll enjoy it so much.
So you guys don't
That's pretty good.
try to sell the caskets.
We do not try to sell the caskets.
So you just take them in a room, say, here's a selection, you pick what you want.
And then we come
you walk
back.
away, and what they pick is 100% their decision.
We step back in, see if they have questions. A lot of the questions we got, we like this casket, but is it available in this color? Can we change the panel? And those are all easy things to do.
Now, one more question, since we're talking about price and stuff. Is it cheaper for a midget?
Well, I mean, if they want to be
Don't stutter.
if they want to be in a full size casket, no, it's the same price. If they want a smaller casket, it will be less expensive, but not to the degree you think. Using there's a vault company in London that does different size vaults, mainly for infants. But I asked him one time, I said, why? Since this is half the steel, why isn't it half the cost? And he said, to make this, I've got to shut down my line, reset my presses. He said, it's just so labor intense, I should be charging more than a full size.
That's wild. All right, somebody wants to know, do they do double caskets? Have you ever seen a double casket?
Like where two people can fit in one casket?
I've not seen that. They do make caskets that are 4 feet wide that you could certainly be side by side in.
Unless you're my size.
Unless, yeah. And that is the other kickers, you both have to die at the same time. So.
Okay, somebody else wants to know, how much does it cost to get cremated? Somebody said,
Is it still $2,600?
$2,600 is what they're saying.
26. Yeah,
That's what somebody said.
yeah,
2600.
so I mean, we're $24.95 for direct cremation. That does include some printed materials, which would be some memorial folders or a slideshow, and it does include an urn or an urn vault. So
And included in that is getting back to what you mentioned earlier too, is you get to see your loved one. Again, not everybody in the town can come in and see them, but you, a small selection of your immediate family, can have some time.
yeah, we schedule. We bring the person down from the prep room. Again, they're dressed, covered, but they're on a table. But you do get, an hour with the person before they go to the crematory.
Well, what's your opinions on cremation versus burial?
I mean, everyone has a personal preference. I just go back. I think it's the last verse of Genesis. If you look it up, Joseph died and he was embalmed. It doesn't say Joseph died and he was cremated. So
That's true.
I think
So you're not going to get cremated. You're going to get buried.
As long as my wife said if she was angry with me at the time, I might be cremated.
Burn his ass one more time.
But no, my plan is to be buried. So
What about you?
I would want to be buried. Yeah.
Somebody said, what about vaults? Do you recommend having them?
So let me state first, because this is when I tell families this, they're kind of shocked. I say, you are not required to purchase a vault. There's no state law. There's no city ordinance. The only requirement is the cemetery. To my knowledge, and I might be wrong, but Cumberland Memorial Gardens and Lilly, they require one. A.R. Dyke in London requires one. I do not think there's a cemetery in Corbin that requires one. That being said, we sell a vault probably 80% of the time. And it's got its start from if you go walking through an old cemetery and you see a dip in the ground, just means that they didn't have a vault, and over time the casket is given way.
Yeah.
So
So what's the price difference on a vault versus no vault?
no vault, zero.
Right.
What?
You didn't get that.
No, I didn't.
The difference between no vault and a vault is
It's zero. I get that. But I'm sure your 59 or 64, whatever, includes a vault.
It does not include a vault.
Oh, that does not include
only
a vault.
because if it's not required, we don't add it in there. So the entry level vault that we sell is the metal box, and that's going to keep the ground from basically
Giving
giving in the casket giving in. The one we sell the most of is the 12 gauge steel. It's the way it's made. It's domed. It has an air seal. Water doesn't get to the casket, and you can spend more money for a 10 gauge, 7 gauge, but that 12 gauge steel vault is so good, I don't push anything else. So
What's that cost?
that's $14.95.
That's pretty steep for metal box.
well, I mean, so my dad was a coal miner. It was very important that he got a vault. He said he didn't want to be wet, that he'd spent so much time in the coal mines being wet all the time that he didn't want to go to his final resting place and be wet. Obviously everybody said, you won't know it, but we honor his wishes because that's what he'd wanted,
Yeah, and you're just buying peace of mind because one lady asked about a vault and she said no, I don't need that. And I said, any particular reason? And she said, no, I just figure I'm probably going to need a bath every now and then anyway, so just let the water come in. So, but she was making her own arrangements. Family stuck with it. We didn't do a vault for her, so she was fine with it.
So Leanne Bennett said, thank you, Eric and Evan, for all that you do. I think that her mother passed away a
Yes.
few weeks ago, and you guys did her service.
Yes.
Well, thank
She's
you.
watching
Thank you.
tonight. She said thank you.
We appreciate that. We get humbled by that. That sometimes makes me uncomfortable, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you're socially awkward.
Every once in a while.
That's why I'm a funeral
So you
director.
guys outside of a.
We were gonna wear a suit, but we thought we'd go casual.
Well, I'm glad you did.
That's casual. y'all stepped in. I was like, man, they're overdressed.
Well, I've got on jogging pants.
That's casual.
But I mean, I'm glad you guys are not dressed up, and you guys are because when you see people at funeral homes, it must be part of the job criteria to be solemn all the time. You know what I mean? Like, does it? I don't know that I'd particularly care if the funeral director was happy and jolly, but I don't know where the good point for a director is. You know, because you see those guys, and I don't know if Disney put this in my head or whatever with maybe the Scrooge story, and they're like, yes, and they all have their hands like this, and they're speaking all solemn to you all the time. But I mean,
have yous been griped at for being too joyful?
Not for being too joyful. We've had people say, if we had asked you not to wear a suit, would you have not worn one? And I would have, I've said absolutely.
Yeah. I do think, and this probably when my grandpa passed away a couple years ago, but he was in West Virginia. But anyway, we went back, and afterwards, there were some things the funeral director did there that we didn't love. We had to dissect his work a little bit and pick on him. But afterwards, my mom, my aunt, my grandmother loved him. And something we kind of reflected on is that he didn't make himself the center of attention, but he certainly wasn't afraid to be a human and come in and have real conversations with you and just be really nice, offer you, water. And so I think we came back from that thinking, okay, we don't have to sit at the front door and act like there's strangers in the chapel. We sat with them, we worked with them, so we can be human.
Because, all right, just to go ahead and pull the curtain off this. Everybody, when they think of funeral director, they think creepy. It's the stigma that you guys have or whatever. But it's really not like that way. And I think that maybe if you were, like you said, where you just kind of, come on in, guys. Yeah, he's back here. We got you. Thirsty. Coffee's hot. But again, there's got to be some kind of. Yeah.
And I think,
it would be tough to find that balance.
especially for me, because, again, I'm now working with sometimes these families, for the third, fourth, fifth time. And some of them I'm very close with and kind of let my guard down, but that's not the initial with everybody. It's just a little bit hard to do that.
Is it something that you said 6 generations, 7 generations. So is it something that you guys just kind of gets passed, or is it something that you get taught?
I always just tell people we're too stupid to do anything else.
Ronnie Brat's on here and said, Eric and Evan are great. Walked me through everything with my mom. I'll be using them for mine. By the way, I'll sell the idea to Evan. Preach your own funeral. Add it to the package. Some of us get all our funeral paid and planned in advanced.
In advance.
Yeah. And, like what Ronnie's mentioning about something that you don't normally see and you want that at your funeral, it's the earlier we know about that, the better. So.
Right.
Yeah, pre-planning, I think that's is something he's pushed for a long time. We got to push even more, just because if your idea of what you want for a service is going to be more extreme, then we've got to have more than 7 days to put that together.
Just like, you pass away and your family comes in and say, well, you all know he wanted a party. So we have to figure out how we're going to have the party as part of this.
Exactly. You keep that in mind.
Well, now, we were talking earlier before the show. You guys sell insurance there. So, I mean, like, if somebody wanted to come in and be like, listen, I heard the podcast. I'm scared to death that my wife or ex-wife or my next of kin who hates my guts are going to plan my funeral. Can I walk through this with you guys and pick out every bit of it? And then you guys could even sell them a policy that would cover what they're asking to be done. I mean, probably.
Yeah, so I always tell people the best thing is to come in, sit down, pre-plan. And that doesn't mean prepay. We're not going to try to make you pay that day or say, well, how are you going to, you've mentioned all this, how are you going to pay for it? What we want you to do is tell us what you want. Share your wishes, and then at the end of that, we will attach as best we can a dollar figure in today today's costs, and then you can say, well, I've got insurance, or I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. And so, well, let me walk you through these different options that we have. And one of those is insurance. The positive of insurance is if you set it up on payment plan, whether it's 3, 7, or 3, 5, 7, or 10 years, and you pass away before that's paid it off, you don't have to worry. Your family doesn't have to worry about it. It gets it's paid in full. The downside of that is if you set something up on a 10-pay, it's just like a loan payment. The cost of insurance over 10 years is going to be more than what the original funeral cost was.
Right. So, like I was saying, if I went through there and picked out every bit of it, you can be like, Paul, this would be like a ballpark of like $12,000. You're a little bit of an elaborate guy, you know.
We won't say that. We won't even act like that's.
And we'll need a 4-foot wide casket for your ass. And like I told you during the podcast, it's a little more expensive. You could work with me on insurance or something to cover that cost, right? So it would be like a pay-as-you-go kind of thing, right? Where I every month drop off a check and be like, all right, even if I die tomorrow, I took care of, right?
That's right.
Like a membership almost.
Right.
Maybe that's what you should call it, a membership.
That does sound a little better.
Membership.
A membership.
Membership to death.
And it is. And we were talking about pricing a little bit ago, and I know it even cremation, it's still expensive. It really is. And we know that, and we acknowledge that. But if you prepare even a little bit, you can even go on our website now. You can it's not going to. We'd rather see you come in. We want to meet you, get to know you, and but you can go right on our website and completely pre-plan and fund your own funeral and not ever come in our doors. And
when that company sold that to us, they said, this will happen. And I came in one day and I said, did you talk to, I forget the name of the family. And he said, no. I said, well, I didn't talk to him, but we've got a policy online that was paid for, and they had done the whole thing. Again, in the middle of the night, they did it.
Well, one thing I ain't heard you talk about is grave sites. And I'm ignorant to all this, so I'm sorry if this is a dumb question. But how do you even start with a grave site? That you sell grave sites too, or do you got to go to a church? And
we don't sell them, but we know the cemeteries around that have those. So, Pine Hill has space available. Cumberland Memorial, Locust Grove and Keavy, Corn Creek Cemetery and Woodbine, Calvary Cemetery, Fox Addition. I think.
So I mean, if something happened, and Jericho just kind of woke up in the morning, and he didn't know who to contact about getting 5 plots. Say, listen, I'll get all my family together. You guys would be able to direct him that way also, right?
Right. And again, if they're writing a check or they have insurance and are willing to assign it, we'll front the money to buy the grave spaces if we need to. So
that's awesome.
okay.
to that point, I do think sometimes people are afraid to maybe call us on a random question or feel like we're just there to do funerals. If you've got a loved one in another town that passes away and you just have some questions, you can call us for anything. We want to be there for you, not just when you have to be there using us. We want to be there to help you find a cemetery, find a headstone, anything you need. We want to connect you to the right trustworthy people to do that.
Yeah, and if someone's out there and they're out of town because somebody in their family passed away and you think you're getting worked over, call us and ask us that question.
Well,
too.
I mean, that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that's another stigma is, funeral homes gouge you. They'll get you in there and play on your feelings and da-da-da-da-da. But, I mean, like you said, no. Look for yourself. See something you like, let us know.
And to that point, I've had people. I see they walk in with an insurance policy, and they'll kind of hide it from me. And I said, "Is there something wrong?" They said, "Well, someone said not to let you see how much insurance I have because you'll spend it. You'll take it all." And I said, we're not going to. We don't want to take all your insurance. We just want you to have pick out what you want, and then we want paid.
Right. Our prices aren't going to increase because of what your check is for. The only thing that increases our prices is what you want.
Right.
If you want a movie played, you want some theatrical appearance like Ronnie does, where he's wants something slideshow or whatever. Okay, but if you're wanting, it's the same price for everybody.
Right. And that's the other thing is every funeral home is required to have a price list, a general price list, casket price list, and an outer burial price list. And you can walk into any funeral home in the country and they're supposed to hand that to you. So
Those of you that are listening that don't have a funeral home that you attend to, that's something that you need to know. I mean, especially if finance is one of your big concerns, and it should be, regardless. Even if you have plenty of life insurance, you don't want to spend all of it or get overcharged.
and it's always, don't be afraid to call a funeral home, whether it's ours or someone else's, and ask questions. They have to give you pricing information over the phone. If they don't, call another funeral home.
Yeah, they're probably not very reputable if they won't give you their pricing over the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they don't want to take time with you to do that, why would you trust them to take time with your family?
And they are breaking, that's an FTC violation. You're supposed to answer specific questions over the phone. So
that's awesome to know. Like, this is good information for people to know.
It is.
So what would does it vary? Like, if I was to come into the funeral home and I was like, listen, I need to get like $15,000 worth of life insurance, is it the same as going through another life insurance company, or do you guys have something that you guys do on your own? Or
So we're bound by the insurance companies that we write with. So, they would take your age, unfortunately, your weight.
Yeah, unfortunately. Thanks, man.
I'm just kidding.
We're not sugarcoating nothing.
But they'll ask some questions depending on. But again, the biggest determinant is smoking versus non-smoking. But again, we can get a policy issued, but that's what's going to make the monthly amount. Maybe that's something that's in your budget or not in your budget. The one thing we do, I don't know of any other funeral home that does it, is we will do in-house 3 years, same as cash. So if you picked out your $12,000 funeral, divide that by 36. And if you bring me that before the end of the 3 years, then we would honor that.
So it brought you $4,000 a year. Then we're done.
We're done.
And we can make,
And
that could be my membership plan that I'm talking about.
There you go.
and again, just so everyone's aware, I always tell people this: anything you pay us on a pre-need, we don't spend that money. We can't touch that money. It has to be put into a trust fund or an insurance policy, so that you would own. So,
And that is with pre-planning is you've got time. So if you're the consumer, don't be afraid to ask questions. We get asked, what happens if we both drop dead? What happens if we sell the funeral home? If the insurance company goes under? Those are all fair questions. And if your funeral home can't explain them, you ought to look around probably.
Okay, well, you brought it up. Explain it. What happens if your insurance company goes under?
That's probably my favorite. And I'll let you explain that because that's a neat thing about Kentucky too.
yeah, and it's not like this in every state, but Kentucky has the State Guarantee Association. So any insurance company that sells life insurance in the state of Kentucky has to agree to honor policies that are written by a company that goes bankrupt, or out of business. So what they'll do is they'll just take those policies. Say one we write for had 1,000 policies in the state of Kentucky. Well, number one, the State Guarantee Association will appoint somebody, and they will allocate those policies to another company. What gets lost in that, and I may be misspeaking on this, you may lose some of the growth that the policies are originally set up with, but you don't lose the face amount.
See, that's awesome.
So I thought, like, when you do insurance, I thought you had to have, if you wrote $50,000 worth of policies, right? Don't you have to have $50,000 set aside of your own money for in case something like that happened?
I'm not sure what the laws are when it comes to what the insurance companies have to have, but yes, they have to have a capital reserve, and that's what the A+ rated, the AAA, that's all based upon the capital reserves. We've had an insurance company that only serviced funeral homes that went bankrupt a few years ago, and I'd actually written some of the policies because they had a 10-year same as cash, and it was National Prearranged Services. And they went out of business. They're out of Texas, and we get paid on every one of those policies. We've lost the growth, but I've not made the families pay that growth. I invested that money with a company. Probably shouldn't have, but at the time it was a reputable company. But they just
Right.
had some presidents that kind of stole the company blind. But I've not got, none of those families have had to pay any more money. We've
Chad's on here and says insurance company has to have double Jericho. They have to have 2 in reserve for every 1 written. Melissa Shell on here says they did an excellent. They run an excellent facility. I highly recommend them. When Daddy passed, they went above and beyond. Talking about you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, there's some answers for you. Now, another thing about your webpage, you had said that you can go in there and select your entire service. Like you can pick out everything you want right there on your webpage.
You can. Now, one part, just because someone's going to may try that, because you can even go in there and just kind of dabble a little bit and look at some of our pricing. That low-end pricing option we discussed earlier, kind of our budget package, it's not on there. That was kind of the advice of the company that helped us get that started, and I can't really remember. It just can be a little more complicated. So there's a lot of, you got to kind of fit into a certain package with that. So, but yeah, you can go on there and fully pick everything out, fund it, give us directions on how you want things to go.
What's awesome, and we talked about this again before the show, is that on that webpage, if a family was having a tough time paying for a service, they can direct other families to make donations right there from the webpage to pay for that service and take GoFundMe out of the equation totally.
Right. So when people mention GoFundMe, on our website it's crowdfunding, and I didn't think it would be successful, but we've probably had 15 to 20 funerals completely paid for out of that. So it's, I mean, we thought it would be a nice service. We've gotten a few negative comments, but by far the majority of them have been positive. So,
well, see, the thing is, and this is what I said, and to you guys when we were talking before the show, is that you really got to believe that whoever's running that GoFundMe is going to give that money to you guys.
right, and again, we shared it. I've got a history of,
and I've heard that it don't happen as often as people say it does. And that takes the middleman out of it totally. People can go right on the webpage, donate. They don't even have to go to the funeral home.
Right. And you can see it. You can see it building as a community. You can see the goal, and we've seen people go beyond that and then cover headstone costs or medical bills that someone might have incurred on something unexpected. So,
well, I mean, in those cases, does it allow, if they do go over, that money just goes straight to the family, right?
It does. Well,
so we don't like it to go over because it puts us in an uncomfortable position of taking money for one thing, giving it back to the family, and it may be used for something else. So
right, I mean,
so once we've hit our goal, we will,
because it kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Right, and we'll say to the we can shut down the website very easily. We just deactivate the campaign. But if somebody walks in and wants to give us a $500 check, and we say to them, well, the funeral's already paid, they'll either say, oh, okay, and they'll leave, or they'll say, well, I want to give it to him anyway, and we say, is it okay for us to give it to the family? And most of the time they say, yes, they're fine with that.
Because imagine if you didn't. Maybe, let me just say, let's just make a fictional family here. Okay, Uncle Jack's wife passed away. Everybody loves Uncle Jack's kids. Their mom passed away. Everybody knows that Uncle Jack likes to drink. He likes to hang out with Jim. So they raise all this money that pays for the thing, but then it goes over, and then Uncle Jack gets all that money that nobody wanted him to be responsible for to begin with, because he's the next of kin, right?
Right.
yeah.
We've had similar situations, like, well, I don't want it to go to him, so
Right.
we're not going to we're not going to make a donation. So
Yeah, I'm a little thirsty, guys.
What he drinking? Hot sauce? Is that what somebody commented?
Looks like I'm drinking hot sauce.
All right, so another thing I wanted to ask you guys: how hard is it to? Are there laws against you guys picking up people from other states, or how does that work? Like, if I had a family member like you had said that passed away in Alabama, and I'm like, we need to bring them home. How does that work?
So in Alabama, we would contact a funeral home down there to initiate the process. Where we go all the time is into Tennessee. So, we'll go down to Jellicoe and pick up a body. That's technically crossing state lines. I don't know of a law that's out there that says I can't do that.
Would you have to have it embalmed first
I don't.
before? Because that's a long drive.
Well, yeah, no, you know what? I think that's a legitimate question. I think somebody had told me that, nothing to do with you guys, but in the past that they couldn't, that the body had to be embalmed before they hauled them, or the people that had the body was embalming them, and it just ran into a bunch of costs. Is that just?
So there was a case that happened where a gentleman that used to work for me, he's since passed away. He wouldn't mind me telling the story, but his niece passed away in, I want to say, just outside of Cincinnati. And he came to me and said, I want you to embalm her. So I said, well, that's fine. So I called the funeral home. I said, we're going to come up and pick her up. It was kind of crazy. She was going to come down here, be embalmed, have a service here, and then go back to that same funeral home for a funeral up there and ultimately be buried there. So it was kind of an odd situation. And again, I was dealing with a corporate funeral home, and they said, well, that body can't go across state lines. And I said, well, cite the law that says that she has to be embalmed before she goes across the state line. And she said, well, I don't know if it's illegal, but it's certainly unethical. Well, it wasn't unethical. What she was doing was unethical.
Yeah.
See, I think in that case, unethical is not respecting the family's wishes.
And all of that to just get an embalming charge out of it. So
Yeah,
It
was
does.
the thing that I had a family member that happened to, that they wouldn't allow someone to pick it up until they had embalmed the body before we could get them back.
and again, every state, when it comes to funeral law, every state is different. But I don't know. I mean, we go into Tennessee all the time. We don't have Tennessee licenses. So
So that's
I think like North Carolina, we had a case where, and I don't remember if this was a one-off over something else, but we couldn't leave North Carolina or have transportation coordinated from North Carolina until they had a death certificate, which only took like 3 days there. That can take 3 months here.
Right.
Kentucky's extremely slow, so.
so my mother said that when her sister passed away, they said that she had to be embalmed or cremated before they would let us bring her home, and she passed away in North Carolina.
And because in North Carolina it was different, and I think either cremation laws, or maybe that's Virginia, but Virginia's got some weird cremation laws, I know. But North Carolina was difficult. Arizona was really bad. I remember we had a case out of Arizona. It was
What happened?
No, that was Colorado. You remember how bad the Colorado? But
Can you share anything about it?
that was probably more so on a funeral home there, who seemed really trustworthy. They were owned by a large corporation, but they were either giving us the runaround or their laws are really difficult on cremation, I think.
unless it's changed, Colorado was the one state in the country that had no governing authority over funeral homes. So if you wanted to open a funeral home, you just put up a sign that says XYZ Funeral Home, and you're a funeral home.
So that's
That's what we should do.
Colorado. So while you guys have been doing the Van Kirk here in town, what is the wildest thing outside of fighting that or maybe the toughest obstacle that you've had to overcome since being here?
What was I'm sorry.
What is the toughest obstacle that you had to come over, or
As
that
a
you had-
business.
as a business to do what you guys do? It's kind of
I mean, on a personal level, for me, was moving to a town that we had absolutely no history with. So, and I remember when I first came, the people that were working at that funeral home at the time, one of them said, "I just don't know how you're going to do here."
Because you was an outsider.
I was out. I did have to learn how to say Barberville. You had to learn how to mumble that.
Barville.
Yeah, we say Barville.
So, because there was a
It's-
Barbersville in West Virginia.
It's actually really easy. It's Barville.
Barberville. Yeah. So I learned how to say that. So
And dealing with, as long as we've been here and I've grown up here, really, is you get close to people and then you either walk through a loss with them or you lose them. And it's amazing. This town, it's a negative, but it's so positive to see the way this town and the towns around us rally around. I don't want to say rally is the right word, but tragedy strikes and everyone's there for each other. There's this outpouring of love that I don't think you see everywhere. It's
I think
really
that
incredible.
falls Back to that loyalty thing I was saying, this being a southern part of a state.
Yes.
Being a southern state, period. There's a lot more loyalty around here
Yeah.
that people want to recognize.
when I leave this area for a while, they'd say, "Where are you from?" And my answer was West Virginia. And people tell me, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Southeast Kentucky," and I like it.
So, what about flowers? I mean, headache. Is it? What about having to pack a bunch of flowers? What would you guys recommend with the flowers and stuff like that?
I love them, but it's just simply because it can set, if you've got a body there and some flowers, it's just a nice accent to everything. Now, can there be too many?
Yeah, that's kind
I don't want to say there's too many, but yeah, then you've got the burden of having to deal with those. And just a quick shout. I mean, one of the best people don't realize, but like having the Woods family and Corbin Flower Shop, I mean, what they do for us in the other funeral homes, and they do it without asking for any money. They will haul flowers for us anywhere if we need them to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody's making fun of Barville.
Don't go to West Virginia and say that because they won't know what you're talking
You
about.
don't know what you're talking about. So, like, how far have you guys had to travel from like funeral home to gravesite? The furthest that you've had to travel,
Oh, I mean, been to Louisville a bunch of times.
like on the interstate with the funeral people behind you, with everybody in the family behind you.
No, we try not to do that. I was trying to think of the longest here. I think
Going into East Tennessee, the Tazewell area, that's probably the longest I've done.
And we go to Harlan all the time in procession. Again, try not to do it because that's just a long day.
It's a long
Yeah.
drive, right?
It is.
Does it piss you off when people don't stop?
Oh, yeah. But it's fun to make them stop, too.
We have our funerals at 2 p.m. Most of them are at 2 p.m. on Master Street. When they put the middle school in there, we know we frustrate parents picking up their kids when we pull out and stop
Right.
all that traffic in the middle of pickup time.
Because that's one thing that pisses me off huge is people not stopping for funerals.
I had a guy. I wish I would say his name on the podcast. I wish I knew who he was, but we were trying to dismiss a funeral right outside onto Master Street, and he got closer and closer to me while I was out on the road, and I thought, he's gonna hit me, and he didn't. But he rolled down his window and he called me over and he said, "All the schools are letting out at this time. You all need to find a different time to have funerals." And then he drove off as fast as he could. And I thought, well, I wait till it's your loved one, I guess. I don't know.
Isn't that horrible?
And I had never had a car hit in procession in the past. The one happened about 2 years ago, but then we had the most recent one was less than a year ago. And we were turning right onto 25 from, where Kroger and McDonald's are going towards Gray. Mm-hmm. And I see the guy coming off of Ola Road, and he just keeps inching closer and closer and closer. And then finally he just hits the gas and hits one of the pallbearers. And then he tried to claim it wasn't a funeral procession. We got lights flashing, we got flags, we got lights on.
And we do go slow. I'm sure some people wonder why do we have to go so slow, but it's the only way to get everyone there safely.
Right. And well, I mean, to keep everybody together.
Yeah.
So if there's a gap and somebody does, in all honesty, some people may pull at an intersection and not know it's a funeral procession if they don't see the hearse. But if they pull in and get in the middle of the funeral procession and get to the next red light and stop, then half of my funeral procession is still on the other side of the red light, and I don't know it because I'm further up ahead. So that's why we go we're like a slow-moving train as we go through town.
What about a 4-lane? You know, if yins are going north, you got traffic coming south on a 4-lane.
Listen, I think he's just wanting you guys to excuse him for not stopping.
No, I've actually been asked this.
I don't think
I
it's,
don't know
I
the
don't think
proper
it's,
answer.
I don't think it's inappropriate to just keep going if you're on a divided highway. But I've seen people stop, and I think that's respectful. The only thing is just be careful. Pay attention to your rear view mirror if you're going to stop, because some people stop in bad spots.
Oh yeah.
People don't see them.
No, I have stopped and pulled over on a 4-lane.
And we've seen some
That's very,
awesome.
That's very respectful.
But
Yeah, that's-
I
you
do
see some good
A lot
stuff.
of people just they just keep on going.
Some people will stop other people on the other side of the. I mean, you see everything, and that's a really. There's a lot of respect. People stop.
So that she will pull across the road to keep anybody from interrupting a funeral service.
Yeah, I don't like it going back to the 2-lane highway. And this happens more than you think, but we're cruising along going pretty slow, and someone decides to pass the whole funeral procession, which we've had happen. So,
What a
Yeah.
prick.
which is like the opposite.
That is a prick.
Yeah. And then I had one guy, I was leading the funeral procession. I had gotten in the left lane because we were going to be turning left. We were actually going into Lindcamp Cemetery. And this guy comes in on the right-hand lane. I'm in the lead car. He lays on the horn and flips me off, rolls down his window, and tells me I should have been in the right lane so he could pass me. I'm like, I'm getting ready to turn left, and you're an asshole. But
See, no, I can't stand that. But they did the same thing with my dad. We were coming, and my sister in a big truck got right in the middle of the lane because we were coming from Barberville.
yeah,
And she got right in the middle. That way nobody would go around us or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was really frustrating.
yeah, we see that a lot of times. People further back in the funeral procession go over in that other lane. Just if you want to do that and you see an ambulance coming, do get it, because that's happened too.
So,
Well, see, the
Ronnie's got a
ambulance-
great question.
Well, the ambulance right fast, that's the same thing, you know, on a 4-lane.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in southbound, you see an ambulance coming northbound, do you pull over
No.
for it?
No.
I don't. So not for an ambulance because
I don't know there's anybody dead in an ambulance or somebody dying in an ambulance.
But I have seen people like going to Grays. You know, going to Grays is a perfect example because that is a 4-lane. I have seen people pull over for an ambulance and them going the opposite direction. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, I know.
That's, well, I mean, good. Maybe they'll get a Boy Scout badge.
Maybe, I don't know. But yes, Ronnie does have a good question.
How do you keep yourselves from becoming numb to death, seeing it all the time? Does it change your perspective of dying?
It hasn't changed my perspective. Did I get burnt out? I mean, coming through COVID when he wasn't sure, before COVID when he wasn't sure about coming back, and I didn't know where things were going, all through COVID, and then coming out of that, I noticed myself getting angry easier. Wasn't disrespect, didn't take away that the death was a real thing, but it was. I noticed that I needed to maybe step back a little bit. He doesn't get angry, so he's
Yeah.
better at it than I am.
Why was you getting angry?
I was just tired.
Just overworked.
I was tired because I've had good help, but I've also been 24/7 for a lot of years. So
And I think our whole, and I don't know unless you were a funeral director, if you could put yourself in these shoes, but we're there to help and get you through that. So I don't want to say that we're not sensitive to death. It's just in that moment, we can't serve you well if we're getting emotional with you. It doesn't mean someone young, something tragic, it has an impact on us, but you're emotional. You're not thinking straight already. So if we get on that boat with you, we got to find another funeral director, both of us, and have someone help us.
And when we're close to the person, you know, we're not good funeral directors. I think you lost a good friend up at Emmanuel, and I could tell he was struggling to get through that, and probably told him at the end, I said, I think I should have taken some of that from you because I think it was too much.
Yeah, and we have a great team. I don't think
We have a great relationship.
Yeah.
Just listen, you guys kind of back
Yeah.
off one another.
Yeah.
and we are, and it's because it.
You kind of seem like you came along at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. We do work, and we hear that a lot from there's a lot of family-owned funeral homes that do not work well together. There's plenty of them, and we hear that a lot.
I mean,
one in
my
West
sister could
Virginia
run
that
a
I came from.
lemonade stand. You know?
Well, so seeing as long as you've been doing it, and this is all hypothetical and stuff, so if somebody close to you was passed away, could you treat that person as well as you do everybody else?
As far as, I don't, like from an embalming standpoint,
Yeah, from
so
the
from
whole
that
service.
standpoint, you know, like my wife has made the comment, well, no one's to embalm me but you. Well, I don't know if I can, and I wouldn't want him, so I don't know where we'd go with that. But you know, I think knowing when to know that you can't, that you need to take a step back. We don't usually know what that is till we're already involved, but you know, I've had some close people even here, and I've been a wreck just trying to get through the arrangement process with them, and they're leaning on me, and I can't even get through it. So,
And it is why you need to conduct yourself well in the industry too. It can be competitive in your own town, but you need good friends in the industry. People that can come help you, good staff around you. But if you lose someone in your staff, it affects the whole staff. You need maybe someone from another funeral home. It doesn't happen often, but just even a text from them that says, if you need anything, if you all do need to take a step back, we're here. We can come help you. And it's a good industry in that way.
we do have some good contacts there. So,
That's awesome. So you're kind of like you're like the future of what you're doing right now.
I hope so.
Do you have any kind of direction that you're going to be leading?
I told him just today, I said, he wants to sit down and go over some things he wants to do. And I said, why don't you just tell me what we're doing? Because I'm not in the point in my life that I'm wanting to learn new things.
Right.
He wants to do new things.
We'll be innovative.
You know, have the drop-down screen for Ronnie and things like that.
And I guess, you know, truthfully, because we've just tried, you know, like Harvey's, and we've just tried some different things, trying to take a stab at what the future might look like. And right now, I think I'm in a place where I just want to slow down and try to listen to the consumer, and maybe what I want the answers to the test. Really, I just want to hear from other people. What do you want for your funeral? If having a party is important to you, we've got to be moving in a direction that I don't think you really want a party necessarily, but you do want food. You want maybe something exciting, not.
No, when I say
Yeah.
I
I think
want
he
a
wants
party,
a
I want
You
a
want a
party.
party, and I think we've got to be prepared.
I ain't sugarcoating
Yeah.
that. I want a party.
So maybe just different avenues or different
Yeah.
things like that. No.
We want to be open.
And I do think it was shocking to me. And they were all older men that I think they were burnt out too. But when I started this, I had so many funeral directors. I can only remember one that told me, "This is exciting that you're going into this." People just did not think it was an exciting time to be in the industry, and I've carried that, not like a chip on my shoulder, but I'm like, that's not fair to everybody that's still out there. I think we've got to get more creative than we've ever been to have new solutions. And
Right.
I don't know what that means yet to answer your question, but we're getting there. Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to reach at. Is
Yeah.
What does the future look like? You know, is it we're staying in the same building? We're going to be rolling right there for the next as long as we can tell. Because now the building behind your building, that's part of the building also, right?
That's
Yes,
the
yeah.
garage. Yeah.
So is that the upstairs that you talk about?
No, there's nothing but storage above the garage. So we've kicked around some ideas because we bought the lot where the house used to be between us and East Ward School, and that's where we've kicked around the idea of adding a second chapel, or a life celebration room, or a place that, maybe you can still have your traditional funeral followed by cremation, but instead of going to the cemetery, everybody moves into that room for the party. So
That's awesome. That's what I was kind of getting at. Is do you see any upcoming projects that you guys are thinking about doing? Or
that's
Yeah.
the one that's on, that's
Yes.
the one that's on the table now. We've gone in so many different directions on how, because we're landlocked. If any expansion of the building, we lose parking.
I mean, we have a very, very traditional setup at our, current location, how we are now. And if we want to be the innovative funeral home of the future, we've got to, if nothing else, we've got to change the way it feels.
you got to be really damn
Yeah.
creative.
Yes.
But we can't be so creative we lose the traditional.
Yeah.
So we've
Right.
got to be able to do both.
Man,
Well, that's what you say.
That's
That ain't what he's going to be saying.
that's that tightrope that you're walking. Well, I mean, again, because you'd even said, you're like, we kept the Van Kirk name because that's what people thought of, and that's what people think of. So I mean, you can't get away from that, but somehow you got to be growing and innovative. Right. And
I think funeral service it's already changed a lot in.
I've seen drive-through funerals. What about that?
I said I'd never do a drive-through funeral, and I'd never do a live stream of a funeral, and we do both. We did the drive-through during COVID, and we still do live stream funerals.
Yeah. Yeah. And the live stream is awesome, but
It's awful.
hopefully we do get.
Awesome. It's awful.
It is. And hopefully we get some feedback after this podcast from people that just know what they want.
Yeah,
we need to know.
Because to me, we've touched on it a couple times, and we'll be wrapping up shortly. But COVID changed a lot of things, and then you kind of made you guys think out of the box with the drive-through funerals or whatever. But you just kind of lose it. You lose the whole. I am traditional. I'm one of those people that I expect to see this every time that I go. If this isn't looking like this, and somebody's not doing this right, and then when you see people getting stuffed on motorcycles or whatever, and I don't mean to say stuffed. I guess that sounds kind of crazy, but
And I think that's the fine line of how do we still honor the person, but how do we help? If the best way is a party for people to heal, then we got to find that medium.
Well, I mean, it just ain't funeral homes, though. It's every business.
Yeah.
Is if you're not trying to grow, if you're not trying to come out of tradition a little bit, as bad as it sounds like you hate that.
well, I mean, tradition was throwing people on ramps and shooting them with arrows or whatever, right?
I think that would be huge if we could bring that back too.
You were just talking about that, weren't you?
Yeah, but you're talking about like ancient times.
Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings. We're way past that. But the way society is going now, I don't know a nice way of saying this. You got all these different genders now, where people are trying to be different genders, and they're trying to grow in ways that is probably too fast for them. But sadly, they have taken over most of society. So if you don't try to grow like they are, and let's look at them. I don't know a nice way of saying this, so I'm trying to really think of my words here.
They really hit on it, which I was in mortuary school 5 years ago, and they were at that point already starting to hit on that hard, that you've got to be prepared to not deal with the traditional family, because there's not very many of them out there anymore.
There ain't.
And it's...
So if you're not growing even in a funeral home, if you're not trying to do what you're trying to do, you'll be more innovative, draw that attention, you're eventually just going to lose all of your customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if your first words to a family is no, we don't do that, they're going to go find someone that will do that.
Yeah. So even if you don't do it, say,
But at
we
the
definitely
same
try
time,
it.
and at the same time, you can't let everybody do what the hell they want to do.
Exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, you can't have strippers here. People, this is where people go to more at.
What?
No, none of. Well,
Why can't
you're-
you?
Well, I'm saying because we're talking
Your
about
party's
parties
not
and
having
this and that. You know, you can't be doing that stuff. I mean,
Well,
you
and it-
still gotta.
It's like a lot of funeral homes, especially down in like Florida and California, alcohol in the funeral homes gotten really popular, and I get that, but you're flirting with a line there of there's we work with some
There's
people that
hate their guts.
yeah right. Do we need to add that, and then have we taken away the kind of the special room then if we've allowed some people to bring in one thing and then does another family not want to use us because we allow that too? So it's kind of just it's a lot to balance.
So no, I don't know how you would do it.
I mean, you're just going to have to take it case by case, really.
Yes.
And if we tell a family no, we can't do that, it's either illegal or very unethical, or
Right.
it just isn't going to work in our building. So, and we do tell them no. I can't think of anything we've told no.
But again, is the ethical side,
And
again,
again,
saying no to their wishes, or no just because you think it's
and again, this is where I still own the building. I still own the business.
Right.
My ethics. Sorry about that. You can't have "Suck Me" sung at your funerals.
Right? No, no,
well, that's the best answer, I guess.
no. I agree. I think that you got to be a moral compass, anyways, where you kind of be like, "Whoa, guys,
Yeah.
let's reel this in a little bit. Let's not have strippers. Let's have people serving hors d'oeuvres."
Yeah.
So, something. Anyways, all right. So I got to ask you: do you believe in aliens?
Aliens.
Both of you.
I don't think so. I'm not
No.
I'm not really an outer space person though. I just try to keep it here on Earth, and then
They don't believe in ghosts.
They do believe in spirits.
Well, not you can tell, not really. No, they don't.
I'm not susceptible to spirits. I've been in places where other people have, and I get nothing. I slept in
See,
this house one time that everyone swore the basement was haunted, and I sleep like a baby there.
I mean, how? You got to have some kind of level of comfort about being around dead people, anyways, right? I mean, to do what you do.
yeah, it's
They won't hurt you.
yeah.
Those aren't the ones.
Right.
Bigfoot,
Right.
the poster, the big giant poster guy there. He's our role model. What, do you believe in him?
My wife does. Strong.
Okay.
I don't know. I might believe in the Loch Ness Monster, though.
Wow, that was the furthest one from the truth. How? So is there anything that you would like our listeners to know about what you guys do, how you could help them, or anything that you'd like to just kind of pass along that we haven't touched on tonight that I've missed? I've tried to bring out every bit of humor, fun, pricing, seriousness, every bit of it. Is there something I'm leaving out?
The only thing I'm going to say at the end is I hope nobody was offended by anything we said, because we're just being very lighthearted here. So I don't think we crossed the line, but I hope that nobody was offended by
Yeah.
anything. What I would want people to take away from is we're real people. We're not, lurch in the background. If you have a question, at any time you can call us. We'll give out cell phone numbers you can text us. We don't care. What we want to give you is as much information as possible, whether you use us or not. So we think
Yeah.
you should, but you don't have to.
Right. And I think you all ask great questions, and I appreciate the nice comments we got, and that's really neat. And we are, though. I think if you walk into our funeral home and you've got access to us right away. We're not owners that aren't present. And unless you're a sales rep, then maybe we hide in our office or something. But no, I think we're very available, and it's not just when you have no choice but to call us. You can call us anytime on any topic that involving funeral service, and we want to be there. We're flexible, and we have hearts. It's not just about money for us, no matter what. So
Oh, I will say, when I asked you guys to come on the show, I went in there. There's 3 or 4 people in the office. Everybody was just, very attentive, like very nice to me. And I'm just off the street. I mean, like, we've met, but we haven't had long conversations or anything like that. And you're like, no, I think we'd really like to do that. And I've been to your funeral home probably 20 times. I've lived in Corbin my entire life. So, I mean, and I've never heard anybody ever say anything bad about that funeral home or you guys, period.
And you've brought it up, but I don't want to say we're better than any other funeral home in any way other than our staff. We are second to none in that department, because not every funeral home can say that you'd walk in and get treated that way. We were just both gone last week. We haven't done that in a long time. I don't think we've felt that comfortable doing that in a long time. That we've just got some great humans in our building that are just believe the same things we do on how we want to approach the business.
Yeah, they're not aliens or a Bigfoot.
No.
But believe in them, though. Ronnie Smith says, to the very best, my friends. So, guys, we appreciate you watching the show tonight. Jericho, anything you want to add?
No.
Yeah, Friday, live auction for Braden will be in McQuarrie County with Jerry Riddle.
Yep.
KentuckyLife.com, TikTok. He's got a little over 500,000 followers on there. He's built us some stuff so we can raise some money to help this little boy. 2 years old, Braden. We post them on the page. If you're unfamiliar, check it out. They're only trying to raise $1,800. Help us out with that. Come to the auction. I'd say 90% of my family that has passed has had their services there. Hannah Matlock. The best guys I know. Like, why are they waiting to the end to compliment you? Come on, guys.
Was
Start
that-
flooding
I
me
thought
with-
maybe we were going to get someone that didn't like us after you said that. Because they are.
All right, so make sure to check us out on Friday. You guys have a good night, and we'd like to thank Van Kirk and
Griselle. And thanks for having us.
Eric and
I was
Evan.
nervous about doing. I've
Yeah.
never done anything like this before, so this
Yeah.
It was cozy,
good.
wasn't it?
was
It
good.
was. It was good.
All right, you guys have a good night. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.